Hey everybody, my name is Forbes Riley, and I'm an American actress and a TV host. And I was delighted when I got my copy of Missing, which is Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People based on a real-life relationship. It's well written. It's amazing. You know, it talks about a man who has lost his wife and his daughter, and it's very well done. I'm going to highly recommend that you go get your copy of Missing. It is a powerful, exciting read. Mr. Mian Moshe Zia. He is the author of Missing. And I want to give a big shout out and a kiss all the way halfway around the world to my dear friend. Check him out at Mia's website. It's called www.miamotionzea.com. Missing, available on Amazon. Again, I'm Forbes Riley, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Sonic Web Studios specializes in custom web design, app development, social networking, search engine optimization, domain registration, email marketing, online stores, and more. Since our birth, we have been designing and developing immaculate websites and providing web solutions which are a cut above the rest. As a leading web designing enterprise, we have a team of extremely talented web designers who are well-focused and have the experience of working on multiple web developing platforms such as PHP, Magento, Custom WordPress, and more. Sonic Web Studios has been helping businesses of all kinds, whether big, small, established, or startup, impress their audiences with exemplary web solutions. We don't just create beautiful and functional websites. We give you a complete online solution with the main goal of enhancing your yearly revenues. We aim to give your business the online exposure and brand acknowledgement that will help you in achieving increased conversions leading to profitable sales. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show. It's time to give a shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international award-winning author Mian Moshe Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, then you'll love Missing by Mian Moshe Zia. Available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. It takes place in 4 countries with 2 strangers and 1 target where truth is an illusion and those you love will be the first to go missing. It's available in paperback and ebook on Amazon. Missing by Mian Moshe Zia has garnered great reviews and is even loved by Hollywood celebrities including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today. Order Missing by Mian Moshe Zia, now available at Amazon.
It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, iTunes, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Mike brings you great guests and interesting people from all across the globe. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another great episode of the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, you can check out the latest novel by well-known award-winning author Mian Moshe Zia of No Time for Love called Missing, an extraordinary relationship between 2 ordinary people based on real-life events that go through 4 countries, 2 strangers, and 1 target, where truth is an illusion and the ones you love will be the first to go missing. Check out the book on Amazon and other retailers, available on all formats today. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com and can be heard on over 30 podcast platforms, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Apple, Amazon, Audible, and coming soon to Podbean, Buzzsprout, Pandora, and TuneIn. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel, and follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with a wonderful doctor who is back, and on the Mike Wagner Show, we previously talked about peak performance. It's a doctor's guide to ultimate brain health. And when brains collide, he is a well-known expert in that area. He's created and developed the Essence program, the nation's first largest syndrome-based disease outbreak recognition system, supports the military health system. It is also Foundation National Biosense Program, and he's also been endorsed by the World Health Organization. And, going from brain health and taking care of yourself involving stress, there's a new stress going on, and it's involving COVID. And the big question is bringing COVID under control, herd immunity, and a lot more. And we're here to discuss it with Dr. Colonel Michael Lewis as he returns, and great to have him back on again. Dr. Lewis, thanks for joining us once again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening once again.
It's great to be with you again, Mike.
Oh, it's great. I mean, I learned a lot from you when we talked about peak performance last time. It's a doctor's guide to ultimate brain health. And when brains collide, I've been keeping myself healthy. And of course, we managed to keep our stress level under control. And also, we have a new thing that's going on is obviously with the COVID. And of course, the big question is, can we end lockdown, save the economy, bring COVID-19 under control with herd immunity? And of course, we can also talk more about that. But first of all, for our listeners, tell us quickly once again how you got started.
Well, I, came to all this by way of my undergrad at West Point, U.S. Military Academy. Did some time in the Army, went to medical school at Tulane University. Eventually, did my postgraduate training at Johns Hopkins University and the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research and international public health, basically, and spent a number of years in Southeast Asia running around looking for new and interesting diseases, and happened to be there when 9/11 happened and SARS and bird flu. So got, some on-the-ground experience with that, and then taught epidemiology and infectious disease epidemiology at the military's medical school in Bethesda for a number of years before I retired, and started doing consulting and seeing patients and a variety of different projects.
Mm-hmm. And you also wrote a couple of books, too, When Brains Collide, and also Peak Performance, A Doctor's Guide to Ultimate Brain Health. And tell us about those two books real quickly.
Well, I when I was stationed in Bethesda, Maryland, when I was teaching, now there's wars going on, Afghanistan and Iraq, and a lot of wounded warriors, and, you can see the visible wounds, a missing leg or a missing arm. But it was really, when traumatic brain injury started to first be recognized, and that invisible injury. And so really kind of thought, what can I do to help and make a difference? And so I had the idea of, why don't we go back to basics? The brain's made of fat. That's food, are there particular kind of fats that might be helpful? And turns out that omega-3 type of fats principally from fish oil is probably the best source. And much more what I would call optimal doses can really change somebody's life, turn somebody's life around. Even if the brain injury, the concussion or traumatic brain injury was even years or decades earlier, it can still help people get their life back. So really started kind of going down a different direction as far as that, and that's how the book When Brains Collide came out. But really just how to optimize your brain function.
Mm-hmm. And of course, where can we find the books at?
Well, When Brains Collide, you can find on Amazon and its other online retailers, but principally on Amazon.com.
Okay. And also another challenge comes up when it talks about exercising the immune system. And right now, we also got the COVID-19 as well. And how do you manage to exercise the immune system when COVID-19 is going on?
Well, it is about exercise, isn't it? And, not just physical exercise, which we need to keep our sanity for one, but, keep our bodies healthy, feeding it the right fuels, eating healthy foods and getting away from the sugars and, try to, limit your alcohol intake and so on. But you're right. You also have to exercise our immune system. Otherwise, it's never going to function the way it needs to. That's why it's really, I think, incredibly important. We're doing this all wrong. And I saw that just even tonight that the director of the CDC, Dr. Redfield, came out and said, we should have kids in school. They're safer in school. But the other thing that we know is, every September and every January, every parent and every teacher knows that, kids get runny noses and they get fevers and they get sick, because they're sharing these viruses.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's exercising their immune system. This is how you're going to make strong, healthy adults, or at least, have healthy immune systems as an adult, is by being exposed to these viruses and colds and flus when you're a kid, when it's not that big of a deal. Mm-hmm. And so we're missing that opportunity to, if we keep trying to sterilize and isolate and quarantine our way out of this and not let our kids get that exercise of their immune system, when they do become adults and they get sick, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be a lot worse. I mean, adults don't get sick they don't take getting sick as well as kids do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to exercise. The other thing I'll just bring up really quick, there was a great study out of Finland that showed that exposure to nature and gardening, getting your hands dirty and digging in the dirt and, and with like you would with gardening, mm-hmm. exercises your immune system as well. Mm-hmm. And they actually did a controlled study that looked at kids that had that kind of access versus sort of inner city kids that didn't have that access. And what a huge difference in their immune system, how much stronger and better it was by being exposed to nature.
Mm-hmm. And also let them eat dirt. I did that as a kid, and it's like I had no problem with it. It's like you drop something, you pick it off, you brush it off as much as you can. You just go ahead and eat. I mean, there's just no harm to it. It's like, how can you convince people to do that nowadays? I mean, I did it. I mean, so did everybody else. Many of us adults, you pick up something off. It's like, let them eat dirt. And yeah, I had no problem with it.
Well, it's about exposures. And the more exposures that you have, assuming that you're not facing something that's obviously going to seriously hurt you or kill you, but it's exercising your immune system. And so that concept of let them eat dirt, get outside and play, get dirty. I mean, I always told my kids when they were little, it's like your job as a kid is go outside and get dirty, go out and play hard and get dirty and have fun. And we seem to have, for whatever reason, we're become so overly protective and want to have everything so sterile. This antimicrobial soap and sanitize this and sanitize that, and it's just it does two things really. The bacterias and stuff like that start to become resistant to a lot of these antibiotics and other things, and so that's one big problem. But the other big problem is it doesn't give us the exposures that we need to keep our immune system strong.
Mm-hmm. And that's very important as well, too. And, of course, you hear about lockdowns with COVID, quarantine, a pandemic and everything. And is it working as a strategy for promoting public health? We'll find out in just a minute. But first, listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget, Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, check out the latest novel by well-known award-winning author Mia Motion Zia of No Time for Love called Missing. Extraordinary relationship between two ordinary people based on real-life events that go through 4 countries, 2 strangers, and 1 target, where truth is an illusion and the ones you love will be the first to go missing. Check out the book on Amazon and other retailers, available on all formats today. Also, The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on themikewagnershow.com and on over 30 podcast platforms, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Apple, Amazon, Audible, and coming soon to Podbean, Buzzsprout, Pandora, and TuneIn. Take The Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to The Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel, and follow The Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with Dr. Colonel Michael Lewis, who returns talking about The Mike Wagner Show. He previously had a couple of books out called Peak Performance, A Doctor's Guide to Ultimate Brain Health, and When Brains Collide. And a brand new challenge has come up during this COVID pandemic, and we talked about exercising the immune system, let the kids eat dirt and cake for some of us adults, and, of course, the nutritional keys to beating the pandemic. We talked earlier in regards to brain health, like, eating lean meats and quality sleep and fish oil and everything. And a big question is, you hear these news about the lockdowns and everything. Are lockdowns working as a strategy for promoting public health?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I can kind of see both sides of the argument, but the reality is we're missing the big picture. It may be good, just targeting the COVID disease, and that certainly can help, and wearing masks can certainly help. But we're missing the big picture. How many people are not going to their routine healthcare checkups? How many people are missing cancer checkups? We're even talking, looking at, baby checkups are being missed. And, new prescriptions for high blood pressure and cholesterol and diabetes are way, way down because people aren't interacting with the healthcare system. Well, that price to pay is going to come due sometime soon. And so we're going to see an upswell of more advanced cancers that, if they had been caught earlier, would have been treatable, and yet these aren't. And we're going to see an increase in cancer and cardiovascular disease and diabetes because people aren't interacting. They aren't getting out. They're not going to their doctors. They're not going to the hospitals. They're avoiding everything, and so we're missing the big picture. That's just in the United States. I mean, I just read a thing that over 16,000 medical practices have closed since the beginning of COVID.
Wow.
And at least 47 hospitals have closed because everybody was told to stay home. So all of a sudden, this loss of revenue. Well, doctors aren't immune to that. If you have no patients, you have no revenue, you can't stay in business. Same with hospitals. Mm-hmm. That's just here. That's not even looking globally. How many millions of people are dying or will die of malaria and starvation because of these economic impositions, these lockdowns that, when you're feeding yourself hand to mouth every day, that's all you've got. When you're crazy dirt poor in India or in Africa, and then you're told you can't leave your house, you're going to starve to death. And we're seeing that already. So it's, while lockdowns seem like a good idea to try to keep COVID under control, COVID's really, it's a bad disease, but it's not nearly, is it worth the millions and millions of lives being lost because of these economic lockdowns and the loss of businesses? And what are going to be the ramifications? What's going to be the ramifications for our children, this youth that's going to grow up thinking they never see their grandmother smile because they're wearing a mask? They can't give them a hug, and they only wave to them over Zoom. What is going to be the long-term effects on our entire psyche of this whole young youth generation living under these conditions? It's horrible. Mm-hmm. And we need to think of a better way to go about it.
And go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, and the big thing is kids should be in school. I'm sorry. Teachers' unions just need to get over it. We need to stop being so selfish. Parents should sacrifice for their children, not the other way around. And it's unfortunately the children are the ones that are really doing the biggest sacrifices.
Mm-hmm. And of course, we also read, too, that in Sweden, there's also a natural herd immunity. And you hear this all the time. And what is a theory of herd immunity?
Well, the idea is that if enough people develop immunity to a disease, that it won't have enough places to go, between people, because, people, there's large percentage of the population already has immunity to that disease. So there's just no hosts left, if you will. So if 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 people have immunity, viruses aren't going to be that smart and just find that one that doesn't have the immunity. So it's much harder and harder to spread. That's the concept of letting it naturally go through a population like Sweden is. And that's what a vaccine does as well, is it artificially develops immunity in somebody. And so that's why vaccines work, is really through herd immunity as well. So the real answer is a combination of both. I hope we get a really good vaccine. I hope these ones that have come out recently are truly going to be a good answer. But, it's also, going through the population. We're treating it better. Less people are getting, put in the ICU and getting sick, and less people as a percentage are dying of this COVID disease because we're getting better at treating it. And those are all the things that we need to do to basically come out. Virus has been around longer than mankind. They're going to be here long after we're gone. So we're going to have to learn how to coexist with it, just like we have with influenza. I mean, for over 100 years, we've had to coexist with influenza and deal with it.
Mm-hmm. And I also remember, too, that during that Spanish War was around 1917, 1918, and I'm seeing pictures of it in the papers where everybody was wearing a mask. It wasn't this whole 6 feet social distancing rule. They still went on with their lives, except they put on the masks. They went to ball games, sporting events, or musicals, or whatever. They go to public gatherings, and they wear a mask, and they seem to function pretty good. And I guess the big question is, it's like, if they could do it back then in 1918, it's like, how come they're not willing to try right now in the United States? Soccer players, baseball players, they played the game with masks. It's like, how come they won't do it in the United States? I guess that's a question that came up in mind. It's like, they did fine with the masks back in the Spanish War or Revolution 17, but not today.
Well, it's certainly, become a hot political issue, if you will, and it doesn't really belong in politics. There's some science that comes out and says that masks help, and some science comes out and says they don't do any good. You mentioned Sweden earlier. They basically stopped bothering with masks because they said people are fidgeting with them too much. They don't really know how to wear them, so they're not washing them off enough. So it's probably just as well not to wear them. But, you think about it. You could stand in front of a screen window and you sneeze, and even a screen is going to knock some of that stuff down, right? Mm-hmm. So masks, just by the nature of it, are going to help. They're not necessarily the answer. But it really, if you look back at the 1918 era, they even had moved hospitals, basically patients in beds outside. They realized that fresh air and sunshine, even in wintertime, fresh air and sunshine really made a big difference. It's the inside, going inside and being, cooped up. So these lockdowns, in places like Australia where you're not even allowed out of your house or apartment is the absolute wrong thing to do. You can't even go outside to exercise. Well, we should be doing the opposite. Get outside, get sunshine, get fresh air, get exercise outside. That's what we should be doing as a society. And then you brought up, about going to ball games and this and the other. If we completely shut down culture, whether it's dance and theater or ball games or the things that we love and enjoy, what's the point in living anyway? Mm-hmm. And that brings up that whole mental health aspect. More kids, there have been 0 kids who have died of COVID in the county where I live, and yet there's been multiple suicides of teenagers because the stress of this lockdown, these what's going on, and no outlet to play sports where your senior year of high school, you're looking forward to it, and now it's all gone. No prom, no football, no soccer, no basketball. I mean, what's the point? And that's what some kids are looking at and saying, yeah, I don't see the point. And suicide's a bigger problem than dying of COVID.
Mm-hmm. Right. And of course, too, there's also a thing with calling into lockdowns, and we'll talk about that in just a minute.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hey everybody, my name is Forbes Riley, and I'm an American actress and a TV host, and I was delighted when I got my copy of Missing, which is Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People based on a real-life relationship. It's well written. It's amazing. It talks about a man who has lost his wife and his daughter, and it's very well done. I'm going to highly recommend that you go get your copy of Missing. It is a powerful, exciting read. Mr. Mian Moshe Zia. He is the author of Missing. And I want to give a big shout out and a kiss all the way halfway around the world to my dear friend. Check him out at Mia's website. It's called www.miamoshenzeah.com. Missing, available on Amazon. Again, I'm Forbes Riley, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from The Mike Wagner Show. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on over 30 podcast platforms, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, Apple, and more. Coming soon to Podbean, Buzzsprout, Pandora, and TuneIn, where The Mike Wagner Show interviews great guests, cool conversation, lots of laughs, coffee, and more. Take The Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device, subscribe to The Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel, and follow The Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today.
Hey, this is Ray Powers. And if there's one thing you can count on in these unpredictable times, it's that you're in good hands getting some great radio, courtesy of The Mike Wagner Show.
We're here with Dr. Colonel Michael Lewis. He's also an author of the book, When Brains Collide and Peak Performance, A Doctor's Guide to Ultimate Brain Health here on the Mike Wagner Show. And there's also a calling for an end to lockdowns, where thousands of scientists and doctors around the world have called for an end to lockdowns and the implementation of herd immunity, drafted and published a petition called the Barrington Declaration. Tell us about that petition.
Well, the Barrington Declaration, and I have to say I have signed that myself as an infectious disease public health specialist, because what it says is the damage that we're doing to our society and the long-term implications of lockdowns are not, when you look at weighing that versus the what success you get from COVID. At what cost? We're losing our identity. We're losing our businesses, our economy. It just kind of details that the trade-offs aren't worth it. The risks of COVID actually aren't as great as we thought they were maybe back in the spring, and so that we need to open up society. We need to start living life again, and a life that's worth living. And so, but also goes into the fact, like we talked about before, is the idea that by narrowly focusing just on COVID, we're missing the bigger picture and what it's doing to our mental health, our physical health, cancer screenings, and we're going to see a major uptick in excess deaths of all these other non-COVID things, because we're so narrowly focused on just trying to control COVID, and it's a virus. You can't control it. It's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. We can restrict it, but we're never going to really control it.
And what are your thoughts on Dr. Fauci trying to, and the whole COVID situation when Dr. Fauci was in charge?
Well, Dr. Fauci is a preeminent, immunologist and infectious disease specialist, and he knows viruses. He knows coronaviruses, and there's few people that are as well versed and as knowledgeable in those areas as Dr. Fauci. What's never taught in there's no course, there's no textbook, there's no guidance. The world has never done this before. Is locking down major, populations, trying to control a disease. And, Dr. Fauci never trained in how to balance a global economy with controlling a virus. That's just a course that's not taught. That's a textbook that's never been written because it's never been done before in the history of mankind. He's making it up as he goes along, but we all are. And we're trying to do our best, but, there's different ways to think about it. That narrow focus, because you're an immunologist and infectious disease specialist, is very different than somebody that's got an economist that's looking at what is the economic devastation happening to my town, to my state, to my country, to the world, because of these draconian measures that we are implementing, trying to control a virus that can't be controlled.
Mm-hmm. And what are the steps we can take on an immediate basis to build our immune health?
Well, part of it is like I said, you need to get outside and exercise and get some fresh air and sunshine, even on a cold day. My mother, when we were kids, we'd go off to school Monday morning. She would open up all the windows. Didn't matter how it was minus 10 degrees outside. She'd turn off the heat and open up all the windows and air out the house for the day, and then shut everything up before we got home from school. That's another thing. Our kids should be in school. I mean, that's just the way it should be. And so how else do we exercise our immune system? Keep ourselves healthy and strong. Eating healthy, exercise, being around loved ones, not avoiding them, not seeing them over Zoom, being around loved ones. But I'm a real big fan of nutritional supplementation. And, when President Trump was discharged from the hospital, they talked about he's on remdesivir and he's on this drug and he's on that drug. Well, what they didn't really highlight was they also said he's on vitamin D and he's on zinc. And I'd go further. You need vitamin C, you need vitamin D, you need zinc on a daily basis. I also like fish oil on a daily basis. And instead of hydroxychloroquine, which is, got its issues, quercetin comes from the skin of an apple. It's a nutritional supplement. It does the same thing hydroxychloroquine does. That's my kind of mix of 5 things that you could take on a daily basis. And if you start to get sniffles or if you do get COVID, you up that dramatically 4 or 5 times a day doing those things. And I've done that with family members and friends, and it helps decrease the symptoms and keeps people out of the hospital.
Mm-hmm. And where can get listeners more information?
Well, lots of good places out there. Now, when I retired from the military, I started a small nonprofit and the website for that is brainhealtheducation.org, brainhealtheducation.org. Of course, you can go on Amazon and get my book about concussions and how I use nutrition or nutritional therapy. And on Amazon, that's When Brains Collide is the name of the book. And for the YouTube generation, if you will, go to the YouTube channel CV Sciences. That's C as in Charlie, V as in Victor, CV Sciences channel on YouTube.
That is fantastic. Great place to get information. Once again, author Dr. Colonel Michael Lewis of When Brains Collide and also Peak Performance, a doctor's guide to ultimate brain health. It's great to have you back on, Dr. Lewis. And just a couple of things. What can we expect from you in 2021 and beyond?
That's a gregreat question, Mike. I hope to get a little bit more involved at the national level. I'm in talks with the Department of Defense and how I can continue to be of service, even though I've retired. Whether it means coming back, in one form or another to help shape our national strategy and how to deal with COVID. Given my experience in Southeast Asia and teaching infectious disease epidemiology and being at ground zero of SARS and bird flu.
Mm-hmm. And once again, what's your website and how do people contact you and where can people check out your books at?
Well, you can find books on Amazon and look up, if you put in When Brains Collide on Amazon, it'll pop right up. And then the small nonprofit, again, the website is brainhealtheducation.org. That's brainhealtheducation.org, and the CV Sciences channel on YouTube.
That is fantastic. Once again, Dr. Colonel Michael Lewis here on the Mike Wagner Show. Dr. Lewis, a very big thank you for your time. Once again, you're absolutely great. Looking forward to having you again soon. Do us a favor, keep us up to date, and love you back on in 2021 and beyond. And let's all stay healthy and fight this thing. We're in this together.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Sonic Web Studios specializes in custom web design, app development, social networking, search engine optimization, domain registration, email marketing, online stores, and more. Since our birth, we have been designing and developing immaculate websites and providing design web solutions which are a cut above the rest. As a leading web designing enterprise, we have a team of extremely talented web designers who are well-focused and have the experience of working on multiple web developing platforms such as PHP, Magento, custom WordPress, and more. Sonic Web Studios has been helping businesses of all kinds, whether big, small, established, or startup, impress their audiences with exemplary web solutions. We don't just create beautiful and functional websites. We give you a complete online solution with the main goal of enhancing your yearly revenues. We aim to give your business the online exposure and brand acknowledgement that will help you in achieving increased conversions leading to profitable sales. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hey everybody, my name is Forbes Riley, and I'm an American actress and a TV host. And I was delighted when I got my copy of Missing, which is Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People, based on a real-life relationship. It's well written. It's amazing. You know, it talks about a man who has lost his wife and his daughter, and it's very well done. I'm going to highly recommend that you go get your copy of Missing. It is a powerful, exciting read. Mr. Mian Moshe Zia. He is the author of Missing. And I want to give a big shout out and a kiss all the way halfway around the world to my dear friend. Check him out at Mia's website. It's called www.miamoshenzea.com. Missing, available on Amazon. Again, I'm Forbes Riley, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to The Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Please support our program with your donations at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again next time for another great episode of The Mike Wagner Show.